Good morning. It is Dean Z speaking to you from my basement. I want to talk to you about a topic that comes up a lot at this time of year, which is specifically late summer, and that is early decision, pros and cons of applying. I'm going to get into the pros and cons, but first I want to start with defining our terms. Early decision, when I'm talking about it, when most admissions people are talking about it, we're talking about binding early decision. Which is to say you apply by a certain date, certain stipulations that a law school will set out. If they admit you under those stipulations, you are committing to attend and to withdraw your applications from all other schools. There's also early action, which is usually not binding, or at least that's how I use the term. I don't know a lot about early action programs. We don't have one, and so don't know a lot about that, but do know a lot about early decision. So let's talk about that. All right, I've already said early decision is binding. So what does that mean? That means you need to know at the time you apply that you feel pretty good about this school. So you should not be applying early decision unless you've had enough chance to do research about schools that you feel confident that you really like this one, that it will get you your goals, that it will be a place that you want to live, that the way they talk about their program and their communities, that sounds good to you, and that you know a little bit about other schools and you think you wouldn't be as happy there. You need to have gotten pretty far down the road to your decision making to make early decision be a rational choice for you. So don't do it just because you think this school is ranked highly, it has an early decision program, might as well give it a whirl, because, well, that's one of the cons that we will talk about. So, all right, first thing you have to do, as I say, research. Now, let's just assume, though, that you have done your research, you know a lot about this school, and you feel really comfortable with it. What are the pros and cons of going through the early decision process? First of all, you will get an early decision, right? So, I mean, that's a huge benefit to many people. You can find out as early as, I mean, we say mid-December, we guarantee you an answer, but usually most people who apply under early decision find out much in advance of that. Other schools will have other timelines. To have everything wrapped up before the new year in terms of knowing where you're going to go to school gives you tons of time for planning and decision making, and is a huge benefit to many people. I mean, that depends a little bit on your personality too, right? Some people are very happy doing things with a little more uncertainty. So that is not a benefit to those people. But if you're someone who likes to know in advance and have everything wrapped up, sure, that is a benefit. Another possible benefit is that it may or may not give you an edge in the actual decision making. Schools, for reasons that I do not thoroughly understand, are often cagey about this. They will not say that it gives you an edge, or they will be just a little ambiguous about what effect applying early decision has on the actual outcome of your application. So I will speak about Michigan, and I will speculate about other schools generally. It definitely does give you an edge at Michigan. It does not give you like a boulder-sized edge. It gives you maybe, as we like to say in the law, a peppercorn's edge. Let's not get into why we talk about peppercorns in the law, but it is a thing, or at least it used to be back in the 90s when I went to law school. So it's like some additional benefit to your application that may make it easier for you to get over the finish line to acceptance. It doesn't take someone whose application I just didn't like and would never admit. It doesn't make me admit that person, but in our process, there are many more people whose applications I like than there are people who I have room to admit. If you apply early decision, as a general matter, if I want to admit you, I am able to admit you. Now, sometimes I admit people who have applied early decision. I end up not admitting them early decision and admitting them down the road for complicated reasons of just meeting my goals, my admissions goals. So if you apply early decision and you don't get in, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. But in general, like I say, it is an edge at Michigan. And it's an edge because when we are making decisions about applications, there's like a jillion things that we're taking into account. One thing you're thinking of is, if you're in the admissions office, is, does this person seem like a good fit? Does this person seem like they would be happy to come to Michigan? If you're applying early decision, like, I can kind of take that on faith. You are obviously extremely enthusiastic about Michigan, and that is worth something to me. That is one of the things that I think about speculate about when I'm reading applications. And in an early decision application, no speculation necessary. You've already made it very clear for me. All right, so those are the pros. Now, what are the cons? First, I already talked about, you have to have done your research. There is the strong possibility of buyer's remorse if you haven't done that. You apply, you committed, it's all wrapped up, and suddenly you start learning more about the schools. They send out materials that they send to admitted students, and you start thinking, oh boy, this is not my kind of place. That's a problem, right? You've made a commitment. There are things you can do, but they aren't palatable to most applicants. Basically, what you have to do is you have to talk to the school that you've already made the commitment to and say you are no longer so happy about being committed. Will they let you out of your commitment? I can tell you that I would always do that. I don't know how other schools would proceed. They obviously can't force you to attend. But they may make it very difficult for you to apply in that year. In most cases, you will have to put off going for a year if that has happened, that you've applied early decision, you got it, and you regret it. You'll probably have to wait to the next cycle to start your application process. Not the end of the world, but most people want to avoid that. The other big downside of applying early decision can be financial aid. The way schools that have binding early decisions programs approach financial aid will vary greatly. I can tell you at Michigan, our system is that whatever we have, gosh, I'm going to try and describe this without getting too deep in the weeds on scholarships, because that's another issue. But we have usually a set of criteria for, like, here is how we are going to dole out some outright offers of financial aid. We also have a competing process for people who don't get outright offers, and a need-based process that happens later, because that requires financial information that people don't have available at the beginning of the season. Here I am getting too deep in the weeds. Carry on, Zierfuss. Okay. Who do we have here? Admissions cat. All right. Say hello, Leo. All right. Where was I? Okay, so anyway, at Michigan, we give you whatever you would have gotten under our usual process, but you forego the opportunity to enter into a competing process, and you forego the opportunity to know what you would have had from all your other schools that you might have applied to. So if financial aid is important, you're trading off the certainty of getting an early decision for the maximizing of your financial aid possibilities. That is a downside. Some schools will make a commitment that if you get admitted early decision, you will get X amount of scholarships. That means usually for those schools that it's a very high bar to get in early decision. It's less likely that you're going to get in early decision because they're making that giant investment in you from the outset before they've ever seen your application. So other schools won't give you any scholarship at all. That is a really big downside. So financial aid is the thing you need to look into really closely before you pull the trigger and apply any place early decision. All right, one last thing I want to say about early decision. Sometimes people try to game the system. They apply to multiple schools early decision, or they apply early decision and make the commitment and then don't withdraw from other schools and continue to compare and contrast. This is bad. You've made a commitment and you have not honored it. That is considered a big problem for people who are going into the career of the legal profession. So you shouldn't do it. And it can also really hurt you. I think I tend to the very forgiving side in this business of admissions. Like I have a lot of sympathy for the people who are going through this process, and the lack of information many people have. So I tend not to want to punish people for this kind of mistake, but even I sometimes will report you for misconduct in the admissions process if it's really clear to me that what you've done is not applied and had remorse, but lied your way top to bottom through the process. And that can mean you never end up getting into law school anywhere. So don't try to game the system. It can be, devastating consequences for you. All right. That is really all I want to say about early decision. Hope it answers your questions. If it doesn't, you know what to do. Send us an email at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu or put it in the comments below. But now let's turn to our grammar section. This suggestion for talking about grammar comes to us from Alice in the admissions office, the excellent Alice Chu. Alice says she has noticed a lot of confusion often between the terms IE and the term EG. So she said she thought it would be useful for me to spell that out. So these are both from Latin. IE means, I hate doing this because I don't really speak Latin, which is on me, but so if this pronunciation is terrible, I don't know what to say about that. Anyway, IE stands for id est, which just means it is, and EG stands for exempli gratiae or something like that, which means like, for example. So IE means when you are about to give an alternate way of expressing something you just said, or when you are giving specifics about something you just said. So my name is Sarah Zierfas, and I am the Dean of Admissions, i.e., I'm the person who admits and denies applicants to Michigan Law School. Okay, so I'm Sarah Zierfas, I'm the Dean of Admissions. That is to say, I'm the person who admits and denies. And then EG, for example, as Dean of Admissions, I do a lot of different things, EG, reading applications, writing letters, and making videos from my basement. So there should always be a comma after each one. I period, E period, comma, E period, G period, comma. Don't ever let it hang out there without the comma. It is unfinished business if you do that. And I think when I was like 5th grade, someone gave me an example to help me remember EG versus IE. So I'm just going to give it to you now. They say, think EG, example given. That is not what it exactly means, but it has been a good mnemonic device for me to help remember it over the course of my writing career. All right. That is all I got. Would love to hear your feedback and suggestions. Please put any questions you have in the comments below or send us an email to law.jd.admissions@umich.edu and put vlog in the subject line. You may want to check out my blog if you found this useful, and there's a link to that below. Thank you, as always, to Dustin Johnston. What would we do without you? Okay, wherever you go, go blue.